Ladies and gentlemen, a few words before we proceed. What you are about to witness is a truly terrifying and blood-chilling scene, one not suited for the frail of mind or faint of heart. Those of you possessed of weaker constitutions are urged to turn away now. Please consider yourselves warned. Very good. Now, if I may draw your attention to the center ring. Behold, the podcast.
What the heck is happening? Hell spawn. Spawns and clowns. That's what we'll go with instead of ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, that's what I should have done.
Well, no. You went with the text as written, which is
True.
What a good critic will do. Of course, we changed one word. So my point is irrelevant. But
moot.
Yeah, no, it is. But spawns and clowns I like. Anyway, yeah, how the heck are you? First off, before I forget, I'm one of your hosts, George Marston, pronouns they, them, or she, her, and with me, as always,
Pierce Lyden, pronouns they, them. I'm doing well, George. Nice to get back in the swing of things.
Yeah, it's not been long since we recorded this time. You know, kind of in the fall and winter, there are stretches where it's harder to, align.
Carve out the time. Both of us typically have busy Octobers.
Yeah, it's just one of those months, News ramps up in the entertainment industry, Comic-Con.
We're something of fall children.
That's exactly right. This day we celebrate the wait now ends. I'm not going to do the whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, what's interesting, Pierce, I will say something that has been that happened since we did talk just a couple days ago. It's really interesting. Did you see the big Spawn related thing in the news? Like just hit everywhere, national news.
No.
Everybody's talking about Files.
Oh. Yeah, it is a pretty big. There's a big moment for Files in popular culture currently.
Very prescient with how much Files would play into our life. There's that joke. I know there's some comedian who said it, and I can't remember who it is, so I apologize for not giving direct credit. But it's a quote of someone being like, "I always thought quicksand would be a bigger problem as an adult." Well. Todd McFarlane understood that Files would be hugely significant a mere 20 years on.
Do you think Jason Wynn's in the Epstein files?
I think he definitely is. I think Jason Wynn didn't kill himself. I know that to be true.
Do you think Al Simmons is in the Epstein files?
I think he was on the plane, but not the island.
Gotcha.
I don't think they let him go to the gathering.
So, you don't think that he knows anything that was happening?
No, I think just being the Al Simmons that we know, I think he'd be like, "What the fuck," and just start blasting. Which
that's true.
But I could hero.
I could see him kind of acting as security detail
without knowing
Wynn. Right. But like for Wynn on the plane.
Yeah. Like I said, he might have gotten a ride on the private plane, but I don't think he went to the. I don't think he was at the function.
Jason Wynn, absolutely there.
Oh, just leading the charge. Who do you think Bubba is
in the Spawn universe?
Oh, just in reality,
just
Jason
in
Wynn.
In reality.
That's what I'm saying.
I guess it could be Jason Wynn. That's true.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess it's true. We'll never know. By the way, doesn't it feel more and more like this Epstein file thing does feel like society has just jumped the shark?
It's bizarre.
I didn't have. Do you have the does Putin have the photos of Trump blowing Bubba on my bingo card for
yeah,
not for 2025,
For
for my
all
entire
time.
life, for all time.
Yeah. I you
However, you
know,
know what? It would make sense if Donald Trump was gay because
or bi.
he command right, sure. I'm including that in gay. He commands. He's got a stage presence, much closer to many drag performers that I have seen over the years than any straight person
I'm
ever
going to say this.
in the history of time.
I don't think it, okay. I don't think you get to a certain level of wealth without sexuality in that way losing actual meaning on some level.
I
Like
see what you're saying.
like there's just so much depravity among fucking billionaires and stuff, as we've seen from these weird fucking files, uh that like I'd be more surprised if there was a billionaire who hadn't somehow been involved in eating like child sashimi or something. You know what I'm
God,
saying?
yeah,
Like, so now they are going to release the files. I'm sure everyone is so excited that we're also talking about this
I know.
4 years after it happened. But we'll see what this prediction is like that I'm about to make in the future now, if I'm a Sylvia Brown or a Nostradamus. Um, I think that they said there's going to be like exceptions to protect the victims, which good. That is what should happen. But I'm wondering what else they're going to cut. And I feel like we're going to get the version with like every instance of Donald Trump, like Control F, find and replaced
Yeah.
with Hunter Biden, except for like the one stray, like term poo, like typo or whatever. So, it's all a farce. Much like these issues of Spawn, the world's a circus at this point. Everything's out the window. You got conservatives coming out of the woodwork talking about like how when they were in their 20s they were dating young like young teenagers and stuff. You got like people saying like, oh, there's a difference between 5 and 15. And it's incredible that there can be a 10-year age difference between a 5-year-old and a 15-year-old and they're both still children.
Yeah. It's I think one thing that we've talked about with Spawn specifically is that Spawn, it's a pretty like dark, right? It's like edgy. It's like, oh, they won't
Yeah.
do this in a Marvel comic. And then in real life, you're like, they wouldn't even do this in a Spawn comic.
Yeah.
The evil that exists in the actual world, like, is just beyond
The stuff
comprehension.
that people are like, I'll put it this way, the age of consent conservatives are just coming out of the woodwork right
That
now.
shit's great. Well, some of them represent states where, like, and again,
Some of them are
nothing.
named Matt Gates and are like currently under fucking serious investigation for repeatedly
Yeah,
victimizing children. Anyway, if you've made it this far without understanding our politics, then God bless. But here it is. I'm anti-pedophile. I'm anti-child abuse.
yeah.
I'm frankly anti-billionaire.
I agree with all of the above.
Isn't it crazy that a year ago, every fucking Republican and conservative was like, you're child molesters. All of you are pervert child molesters because you're LGBTQ and woke. And now they're all just like, what even is a child, though? And what is sexual abuse anyway?
Yeah,
It's
it's
good we don't make money on this.
yeah. The thing that is crazy is that, like, it's the question I just want to ask every relatively sane person that I know that has voted for Donald Trump or the GOP, is just like, where are you drawing the line? Where do you stand on this? And I know that I'm like gearing. I have to know that, like, that question will always be met with a lot of, well, what about? And I think one thing that
Yeah.
we keep saying is like, yeah, what about the Democrats? I don't give a shit. Fuck them too. You
Yeah,
know?
put them on blast.
Yeah,
That's the thing,
exactly.
is that like, what if there's the whole like, what if it's someone on your side? And it's like, it probably, first off, it's not my side, quote unquote,
Yeah,
but
don't
it
leave them out.
probably is. And also, like, I want to get rid of them too. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
Bill Clinton, also a piece of shit.
bad
Like,
guy. Hillary
whether he
Clinton,
whether
bad
he
lady.
did like whether he abused children or not, he's certainly a piece of shit who abused other people and who took advantage of people and who, just honestly, we have him to blame as much as Ronald Reagan for the way our country works right now. He fucking destroyed the entire concept of a progressive Democratic Party because, and our listeners may or may not be old enough to remember this or have gained perspective recently, but one of the big things about Bill Clinton is that he was constantly moving towards the center, trying to appease to conservatives. He's really the Democrat that started that concept of like, no, we have to reach across the aisle, find the quote unquote third way between conservatism and liberalism or whatever, that basically is just fucking narcissist centerism.
Well, a big part of that is the stronghold that and the establishment of like Ronald Reagan and George Bush one, George H.W., like that kind of coalition and that like 12 years just really
Well, they
fucked things
gutted
up.
so much. They gutted so much of like our social safety net.
Mm-hmm.
Ronald Reagan is the reason that there is a dearth of mental health facilities, like public mental health
Yep.
facilities. He's also directly responsible for the crack epidemic, the
Mm-hmm.
homelessness epidemic. He's directly responsible for so many of like the things that now his successors are like, look at all this bad stuff.
Yeah. How it's the Tim Robinson, like, who could have done this?
Yeah, and the
And you're
hot
like,
dog costume,
you
the kid
you
with his
did
boot,
this.
the boot on his own neck.
Yeah, and it's like one thing that I always kind of point to. I always point to Reagan when having these conversations because I like to explain to people that like my politics were not born yesterday. Like they are
Yeah.
like I have read and looked into why so many things are so fucking bad, and it just if you follow the trail, it just kind of like leads back here. I've said to my parents specifically that like the last decent president was Jimmy Carter. Uh, and that's
Even
because
Jimmy Carter was fucking evil.
right. And like even Jimmy Carter is like, but like not even half as evil as like what we have now, it feels. And like at least
No.
he's like 100 years old and like building houses. You know what I mean? Like
Jimmy Carter's evil is a strong word because he's ultimately a good man. And the problem with Jimmy Carter is that maybe we've even talked about this in this podcast before.
maybe.
Um, Part of the reason that Jimmy Carter lost to Ronald Reagan in 1980 when he was up for re-election is because Ronald Reagan went behind Jimmy Carter's back to negotiate with the for the release of the Iranian
Yeah,
the
the
hostages at
Iran, yeah,
Iranian
Iran,
embassy.
yeah.
Iran,
Argo.
yes, exactly. And was essentially responsible for, first off, that's treason to negotiate something
Yeah.
like that.
With
That is just literally straight up treason, like hanging offense treason, which whatever you believe about the state and their right to actually take a life or determine who is worth life and death, that's their established rule. And so he did that and also managed to, by engaging in these talks, delay the release of the hostages till after he was president, making it look
Yeah,
like,
seemed like a huge win for him
and that
and a
Carter had
huge
been inept.
failure of Carter's
But
presidency.
Jimmy Carter knew that Ronald Reagan was doing that, and because he was a quote unquote honorable man, chose not to invoke it on the campaign trail or tell anybody or disclose it until well after Ronald Reagan was president. And it's like, you should have just said.
My thought though was because he wanted the people to be saved, and so his like he wanted them to be released. So ultimately it was like I understand I'm getting fucked here, but
Well,
I
that's the
don't want to
problem, is
do
that like he would have, they might have been released sooner.
well that also, but like Right, but also they might not have been released at all. Like I
Well,
think
by
that
the
had
time it's complicated, but it's like you still should have gone out there and at least like I don't know. What am
yeah.
I to say? But that's why I say fuck Jimmy Carter. Also, because he was president. Fuck everyone who's ever been president. Fuck
It's an
anyone who
evil.
wants to
It's
be
an inherently
president.
evil job.
Yes, it
So
is. It is at
anyway,
best neutral evil. So if you are listening and you're somewhere to the right of us on the political spectrum, just know we don't like the Democrats either.
yeah. Changing subjects quickly.
Of course.
I got this T-shirt.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I have
And
a great T-shirt on. I'll show
I
you.
think you'll enjoy. I'm not wearing it right now, but
Oh, that's awesome. That fucking rules. Love that. Just every part of that.
I'll make the recommendation at the end as well. But I bought it. Chloe Brailsford has done some comics covers and stuff.
You'll have to send me that link.
I will.
This is what my shirt is.
Oh, nice. So since this is an audio medium. The T-shirt I have is this Chloe Brailsford bad boy, but the O is the feminine symbol, and it's a boy with titties and leather on.
Hell yeah,
so that's cool.
You
Can't really wear it anywhere.
I would wear
there are plenty of places to wear, but
I'm running out of shirts that don't say something like "I sucked a monster's dick" or like "fuck shirts" or something like that. Like,
do you want to explain the shirt you're wearing now?
Sure, yeah. For listeners of a certain millennial age, you'll likely remember if you had a cable box or your neighbors had a cable box that somewhere around channel 99 would just be this blurred, wavy kind of channel where every like 30 seconds you'd get one frame glimpse of like people having sex, because that was the Spice Channel or the porn channel, and it was usually blurred. You had to have a special subscription to unlock it. But cable boxes in the late 90s had a little thing on the back that you could twist that was sort of like almost like a what do you call a tracking knob on a VCR, if you're old enough to remember that. That would kind of like adjust the frequency if the picture was fucked up, and if you adjusted it just right, you could sometimes get a few minutes of still semi-blurred but somewhat visible, frankly, pornography. And when you were
Frank Lee pornography, that's Jim Lee's brother,
Stan Lee's grandfather, Jim Lee's uncle, I don't fucking know. When you were in the 90s, a teenager trying to discover the world, let's say, before the internet.
Sometimes you did it with a hacked cable box.
Yep. Sometimes you and your friends would be like, "Can we get 1 second of this like forbidden thing?" So anyway, The shirt I'm wearing is a frame from like what it looked like on the TV when you'd tune in to the quote unquote Spice Channel. Yeah, it's basically like a woman's face all like distorted out, and it just says Spice Girls.
It's great.
Also, because I support the Spice Girls
and the Stepford Cuckoos.
100%.
So, well, that's been 15 minutes of us reckoning with the world we live in.
Hey, that's 15 minutes less than we spent on it last time.
It's true.
By the way, I had to today write about a new
clip.
Actually, it's interesting. I work for a website called Total Film that is part of the Games Radar brand.
Oh, interesting. And their opinions
honest to God, not reflected in this podcast. Isn't that interesting? How I can write for them, but my mouth and what I say here does not legally reflect their opinions on any level.
Probably the best.
Isn't that interesting? But today I had to write about a new early release clip from Avatar Fire and Ash, and I was just looking at it and I realized what it is that makes me, for listeners who were with us last episode when we got into why Avatar sucks, I can't
but it's kind of good.
I haven't seen it. I can't say it's good or bad. Tell you what it is that does it to me. I don't think the characters look cool. Visually, it is
That's fair.
unappealing to me. I think
That's
they
fair.
look kind of doofy. They look too Disney to me. And I know that it's like cutting edge visuals, but because the characters to me do not look interesting or engaging, it has that effect that like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania had on some people, where it's just like, this doesn't look like anything.
I hear you. I
Not
say what
comparing the quality. I know that that would be. I get it. I'm not saying Avatar
I
is
kind of, you know
groundbreaking.
what? I watched Quantumania. It's okay.
I like it fine.
You
I
could do
liked it
worse.
better before that piece of shit guy was revealed to be a piece of shit,
Yeah,
because
well,
Kang and Janet Van Dyne are two of my very
I
favorite
know.
characters.
I know.
Michelle
But
Pfeiffer, radiant.
she's great. And also, I just like that we were like in a weird Star Wars world, but it was like tiny. I don't know. It was cool. There was some
I
cool
didn't hate
stuff.
it. I think I got why people who aren't into like generally into Marvel shit were like,
We're
I
just
don't care
bounced off
about
of it
this,
entirely. They were
because
just
it's
like,
just
what the
like
fuck?
literally just an entire cast of Blorbos
Yeah,
in a world
100%.
of nothing standing in a line because they're all like against a green screen. I get it. It was like a Saturday afternoon like serial, you know what I mean, from like the
Yeah.
40s, like that level of like entertainment value. But
The
I
thing,
enjoyed it more than I think I would enjoy Avatar, because I already like the Wasp.
that's fair. What about
Janet
Pyacon?
Van Dyne. Which one?
How do you feel about Pyacon?
What the hell's that?
Pyacon is the Whalian from Avatar 2. You got to watch Avatar 2.
No, I'm
You might
not
like
going.
Pyacon.
I don't know what that is, dude. It all looks, you know what Avatar looks like to me? Have you ever
It
seen,
looks like a ride.
yeah, have you ever seen Final Fantasy Spirits Within?
Yeah,
It reminds me of that, where like all the characters are like almost look like something, and like
fair.
the story might be about something. I don't know. I'm gonna get off my soapbox about it, because invariably there's gonna be someone who's like, it's a cultural phenomenon, and I have to think to myself, I only know two people who've seen any of the movies.
And
So
you co-host a podcast with one of them.
yes,
So,
correct. You are 50% of the like non-work related acquaintances or friends that I have who have even seen it, that I even know of. So there you have it. I know that it basically everyone in the world but me and my direct friends saw it.
yeah, it's they're two of the most successful films of all time,
Yeah,
believe it or
the
not.
Avatar is at the top, and then it's Avengers Endgame, and then number 3 is Avatar 2. And you know what? God bless it, because someone's got to save the film industry, I suppose. And James Cameron is making movies.
You know,
He made two of the greatest sequels of all time, maybe the two best sequels of all time.
Avatar 2.
And Avatar 3. No, obviously Aliens and Terminator 2, to be serious.
Yeah.
And both of those are fucking great movies. He
You know what's
also,
crazy? That we got an AVP, which I get, but we never got a Terminator versus Alien.
well, there was RoboCop versus Terminator, the video game,
Yeah.
and that was the movie that everybody wanted, was RoboCop versus Terminator.
Terminator wins, right? Like,
Oh
he
wow,
just moves
so
better.
you're anti-cop.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Terminator would win, I think, because he doesn't have a human heart and mind.
Yeah, that's also true.
So like, I will say the first RoboCop movie, fucking love it. First Terminator, fucking love it. RoboCop 2, fine, I guess. Scarred
Did
me
we
as a
talk about
child.
Predator Badlands?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, I saw it. I didn't like it. People are
No.
like, "This is amazing," and I'm like, "Predator learns the power of friendship." I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know. Maybe it's good.
okay. I don't think it is.
Fair
It
enough.
also pulls in. Obviously, there's Wayland Yutani exists in the world of Predator.
Yeah, I know
Obviously,
it pulls in that synth or whatever.
there's a scene that just it's such a I recognize that, and
Ah,
it sucks. I think it it sucks that it exists in this movie and makes me angry that they referenced it. I'm not going to spoil it for you unless you care.
I mean, I don't know. It's going to be like
the
far ahead
in
for our listeners.
the final battle. Oh yeah, I guess yeah, that's true. In the final battle, the villain uses like the power loader, like Sigourney Weaver
Okay.
does, to fight the Predator. But the Predator wins this time.
Oh,
Like
but
the Predator.
I will say this: that was in the trailer. The power loader was in the trailer.
I know, but I don't
So,
like it.
I mean, sure. I'm just saying it's not a big spoiler.
Oh, good. Well, I didn't watch the trailer. I just watched the movie. Anyway,
Yeah.
we
I
have two
love
issues Spawn to
Predator.
talk
About.
about.
Whatever. I just still haven't seen it yet.
It's fine. It's perfectly fine. It's just whatever. We've got two issues. We're avoiding talking about the issues that we have today because
I guess
both of us we were talking off mic and we were like, all right, these are okay. They're fine, I guess.
I've really been enjoying the ride for the last few issues. We kind of both dug what was going on in the last two that we covered. Yeah. These feel like the definition of interstitial, and I think they are made worse by some of the specific artistic choices, and they also continue the trend that we were discussing in the last episode where some of the order of the bubbles is unclear.
Yeah, it's kind of bonkers. It's a rare Orzakowski L.
I think it's just kind of an L across the board in terms of clear storytelling. That is something that I think is getting frayed over the last couple issues, is that say what you want about Medina's anatomy and stuff. Like he's often very abstract
I'll say
with
plenty.
it. He's often very abstract with it, but usually the storytelling itself is fairly clear.
Yeah.
These issues
not the
don't
case.
do it for me.
Not the case. So,
you know what? Let's get into it. Pierce, hit me with those credits.
All right. We've got Spawn number 134. Todd McFarlane Image Comics present 1,000 Clowns, Part 1. Plot by Todd McFarlane, Brian Holguin, story by Brian Holguin, pencils by Angel Medina, inks by Danny Miki, Victor Olazaba, Alan Martinez, Crime Lab Studios, lettering by Tom Orzakowski, colors by Brian Haberlin, cover by Greg Capullo. It is a pretty solid cover, very Spider-Man-y Spawn, which is cool, and some Blorbos. Honestly, they're Blorbo demons. They're just like little guys. Dedicated to Rick Benatar. He is a film producer.
Wow.
And he's made a bunch of movies, like Real Steel, which is a great film, and also Gemini Man. And also League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which I think that's why this would get referenced, because that came out in 2003. So there you go.
How about that?
Didn't produce Avatar, so I guess can't all be winners. But he also he produced Lost Boys: The Tribe. Oh boy. Well, anyway, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was his first producing job, and this came out in 2003 as well. So I think he must have met Todd. I'm sure there was some Spawn 2 discussion at some point.
Yeah.
But we're going to open 12 years ago.
Yeah, so I have a question immediately.
Sure.
Right off 12 years ago. How old is Nick supposed to be? And how old are they here? Did they kind of establish that? Because, are they 12 here?
I think they're 12 here, and she's in her 20s.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I kind of took it as. Also, though, they just still draw her as an adult. They look exactly the same.
What I was going to say.
They look exactly the same.
Okay, so they're 12-year-olds doing basically light as a feather, stiff as a board, and Ouija and stuff.
Yeah.
Smoking cigarettes, 12 or 13. If these kids are 13, this is like an 1890s 13. They look old. In these drawings, look at Nix's face in the bottom. She looks
where she's
haggard.
Smoking a cigarette. Yeah.
Yes.
She looks like what's her name in Waiting? The angry waitress. I always forget that actress's name.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
It's not good. It doesn't stand up.
No, I can remember many things about it that would be deeply offensive now.
Pretty much all of it.
Yes.
Honestly. Alana Eubank. She kind of looks like Alana Eubank.
Okay. Sure,
Eubank?
yeah.
It's not, whatever, it's fine.
Well, whatever. And her friend here, not Thea, but Lily, looks like Carly Simon. This is crazy. these are not good renderings of teen girls. And
I wonder if it wasn't clear to Angel that it was supposed to be a flashback.
maybe so. I mean, that's not impossible. Whatever. They're playing with the Ouija board, and as we watch this unfold, we cut forward in time to Nyx. This is part of why I was confused about it, because Nyx looks exactly the same age 12 years ago and now in terms of drawing. We cut forward in time to where Nyx is looking at a photo album, remembering her friends Thea and Lily and how they had their little coven or whatever. The little
Yeah.
thing here where they're looking at the Ouija board, kind of making their little incantation, definitely very crafty, like The
Yeah.
Craft, classic movie. Absolutely,
Veruza
certainly
Balk.
part of my dysphoria. Anyway, yes, Feruza Balk, my God. I'd let her sacrifice me.
I'd let her return to Oz.
Yeah. Wow. Terrifying film in its own right. So Al wanders in and sees her looking at the photo album and is like, hey, what are you looking at? And she's explaining like how when she was so young, she had these friends and they were into, Tiger Beat and all that stuff. And she says, when we were about 12, we started playing with magic, Ouija boards, tarot, stuff like that. Now, this is a double page spread, but partially because of the format of the omnibus, but also just in general having the partition there, like the crease, makes it very hard to tell what direction you're supposed to read it, because it also goes like left to right to right to left to left to right, and it's not exactly clear. Like
Yeah.
it's not as bad as some of the examples we've seen, but it is another page that you can like almost read it the
In a
wrong
couple different
way.
directions.
Yeah.
It's
So
I think that we're reaching a point where some of Medina's choices artistically are forcing Orzechowski into like a, well, fuck, now there's all these words and I have to put them somewhere in a way that like makes some sense. And I think, all right, you draw, you're an artist. I don't want to say that like, well, it's a double page spread, it must have been faster, because I don't think that that's the case. I think it's actually harder to lay out a double page spread in a way that when you have to try to think of what's going on. But I do think that this is where Marvel style is probably working against Angel Medina, because
yeah.
he's probably being told like, hey, like you can do some double page spreads, like that's totally fine, like go for it. He's given that freedom, but then when he does it, he's putting everybody else on the team in like a weird spot.
Well, it's also sometimes it's actually a shortcut for a writer,
Yeah.
because a double page spread turns 2 pages into 1 page, and usually it's a big action moment.
Yeah.
So you're putting a lot on the artist's plate with that. There are some Brian Bendis issues of Avengers from back in the day where
And
something
soon to
like
be a future
yeah, he's
day.
doing like an 8 page story. Yeah. Something like 60 to 70% of the books would be double page spreads. And it'd be like, he's writing 11 books,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Truly.
I'm going to go ahead and say I am really not a fan of overusing double page spreads. I think they are essentially the most impact you can have in a comic format without breaking it somehow by like having it fold out or continue
Yeah.
across pages in a way that is unnatural.
Well, you're
So,
trying to communicate something about either scale or importance, right? Like,
yeah,
I think a double page spread, I think I sent you the pages already in my book. I do a double page spread immediately on the
sure.
page turn,
Important tool.
but I do it to establish like setting. Like instead of establishing panel from far away, I do big open page, like here's the world we're kind
Yeah,
of in
sure.
on page 2 and 3. And that's really effective sometimes. Here, this double page spread is kind of expository. And
I
also
think
it's a
it's
weird
meant
a weird transition. Sorry, a weird transition from past to present
I was
because
going to
it's
say, I
unclear.
think it's trying to show the interweaving of those things, but it's not quite working. But Nix explains that Lily went on to become a born again Christian, and Thea, as we know, died. She thought she was being chased by death. It was Spawn. May have been influenced by Mammon, but the image of Spawn. However, Thea was definitely influenced by Mammon, who convinced her that whether it was an illusion or not, convinced Spawn or convinced her. And I have one more remembrance that I think kind of answers that question a little bit, maybe, or provides some more clarity. But either way, she is convinced by Mammon that Spawn, who is chasing her, is trying to kill her, and that by giving herself to him, he can save her. It's a ploy by Mammon to capture her soul. And so he's actually the person who leads to her death. But if you recall, the thing that I remembered is that Spawn actually talks to her after she's dead, or addresses her and like explains to her, I was trying to help you. I can't save you now.
That's true. I still wonder if we're not supposed to know if it was always Al.
Yeah, maybe. I don't
Like,
know.
I wonder if he is trying to save her. Mammon's like, I fucking know what you're trying to do. I'm going to use your image to continue to. That's kind of my no prize, is like some of the panels that we see of Spawn chasing her are Spawn trying to actually get to her. And then some are Mammon only because we got that like transformation panel.
I think that that's not meant to be as big a clue as it seems like. I think
Fair.
it's just an artistic expression to not have him like say Spawn, to have him show her. Now, I will say it's not impossible by any means that what you're saying is correct. I just personally tend to come down on the simpler side,
Fair.
where he tricks her into thinking that Spawn is her enemy when he's not. But we don't know. Either way, what's important is that Memon manipulated Thea into essentially giving him her soul. And we found out last issue that he still has her soul trapped in like a crystal ball.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nyx kind of says she thought Des was stalking her, and then she explains she had a dream last night. That was the conversation she had with Mammon. She says it was a nightmare. And then she asks Al, she says, Al, what is hell like? I guess wanting to know what Thea's experiencing, because
Yeah.
she is definitely in hell. And he just kind of gives the 1,000-yard stare. And she says, Al, and he says, I can't tell you. There's no words, no frame of reference for it. Whatever you've heard, whatever you think, it doesn't begin to describe it. And she says, please, I need to know. And he says, I can't tell you, but I can show you. Now, I really like the splash page of him transforming into Spawn in her apartment. I love the way his cape is splayed out.
Yeah, that's cool.
Love his like clutched hands. Like, it's a very manga transformation kind of look. Again, his head is just kind of in silhouette with his eyes kind of just showing the
Super
face.
cool.
It works really well this time.
Showing that he's got a lot more control also, which is something he's been working on with Nyx. So
yeah,
I
I do
like
think it's
it.
interesting that he's turning back to human, like going back and forth. You know what I mean?
I mean, we don't have the power meter anymore, so.
Yeah.
But Cog did say this is eventually something you'll be able to do. So, and
Yeah.
Cog didn't have a power meter ever. So,
No. So he says, "Are you sure you want to know?" And she says, "Yes." And he basically like just taps her forehead barely with his little
no, he
claw.
taps her eyelash. Not
Oh
even
yeah,
her
that's what it
forehead.
is. It's her eyelash.
Yeah, it's like
Sorry,
he's
it's more of that like just the eyelash is. It zooms in on like the very grinchy tip of his curly finger and the
yeah.
eyelash, and yeah,
I
the
love that.
storytelling's a little funky
I
there.
love that because he's like, what he's showing her is like a shadow
He says it's
of
just the merest taste.
of what hell is. Don't love this panel of her like all discombobulated from experiencing it. The anatomy's weird. That's going to be something I probably say a few times during this.
Oh, the one at the bottom of the left side page.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah,
my
it's not
favorite.
great. The other
Uh,
page looks great.
sure.
Where
Yeah,
she's like
absolutely.
writhing on the ground, and then she's just saying, "I didn't know. I should never have asked. I'm sorry."
Yeah. It
It's like
gets
so
better.
much worse than I dreamt. Um, so she's kind of left a mess on the floor. Meanwhile, out on the street, we find Rex.
Yeah.
Well, the guy who's now been christened Rex after his dead friend, who is
60
a
Cent himself.
servant of Clown. Yep. He gets on a bus and threatens the bus driver, something that will be happening constantly in Zoran Mamdani's Free Bus New York. Um,
Pulls a gun
actually,
on him.
yeah, I
Sorry.
believe he said that the instances of violence against bus drivers on the routes that were made free decreased by like 30 to 40%,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
And
Anyway,
it's probably because the buses aren't empty.
it's because the buses aren't empty and because people don't have to threaten them to get on.
Yeah,
They don't
that
have to
too.
worry about like, I don't have fare, I have to get to work. Let me the fuck on this bus. Anyway, when people aren't desperate, they don't have to do as many desperate things.
Very true.
So, these people, this guy Rex is a little desperate. He is taking the bus driver and the people on it hostage. He has a gun. He's telling them, we're about to embark on a wondrous and exciting journey into the mysterious. The guy in the back, Stanley from The Office, is calling 911. And Rex pulls out his gun and shoots his phone out of his hand, blows his hand off. He
Got
says,
great
"No
accuracy.
clowning around back there." Supernatural, even.
True.
Now we don't see quite what happens to them yet. We do see Spawn bounding across the rooftops. He's looking for whatever's happening with Clown. He's talking about he can smell blood, cordite, and adrenalized sweat. Cordite, of course, being like the smell of gunpowder residue. Behind it all, there's the sick, sadistic joy of someone who thinks they're getting away with something. Very hard boiled.
Yeah. We're
Another,
doing the Frank Miller thing a little bit, which is fine.
this one, here's the problem with the double page spread is that this one breaks the way the direction of the last one. So when I try to read it that way, it's wrong. It goes the other way. It just goes top to bottom, right to left, but it's also like,
It's like layers. It's kind of like right to left, right to left, right to left, right to left.
and it's
But it
hard
but
to
it
read.
but it looks like it's laid out in like a Z or like a
Yeah,
squiggle. But
but it's difficult to follow.
that said, I
What
like the art kind of. Like I like that we're seeing all the graffiti that Clown has left, and we're seeing we're seeing where it's lots of graffiti of clowns.
just feels
And
like there's so many captions that it's hard to place them.
yeah, I hear that. It also doesn't give a great sense of like him moving. It gives just a
No.
sense of him like looking at a couple of things, which I guess his eyes are in the center of those 4 panels, so that
But
does kind of track.
nonetheless, like
But
that makes sense. It's just the way the panels can be read, it's jumbled. These double page spreads are getting jumbled.
yeah,
And so he gets to the graffiti that Clown changed. It used to say this alley belongs to Spawn. Now it says this alley belongs to Clown. And he's like, this is my old hunting grounds where I used to live, he says, something like that. He says the trail leads me to familiar turf, the alleys. It's where I used to live. A name from my past has just raised its ugly, misshapen head, Clown. And he says, I thought I was through with you. And as he looks up, he sees the wreckage of the bus that Rex just commandeered. Inside the alley, which is, as we know, a dead zone, Al comes across the Fleabiac Brothers Pandemonium Circus. And what is it? Give me 1 second. Is it Something Wicked This Way Comes?
Ray
The
Bradbury
book?
story.
Yes. Isn't it like Mr. Midnight's Pandemonium Show or something?
Oh, something I forgot to call out is earlier when Nix is talking to Al, there's he's wearing like a Captain America shirt, and I think it is specifically a reference to Truth, Red, White, and Black, the Kyle Baker book. Anyway,
That makes sense.
It doesn't totally make sense that it's there, but he is wearing like a black and like it looks like the cover kind of. Anyway, forgot to call that out.
Mr. Dark's Pandemonium Carnival. So this is the Fleabag Brothers Pandemonium Circus.
Nice. We're doing a Ray Bradbury.
Yep. And it is like all dressed up with clown shit. It looks like he's in like Little Clownvania or something, and it's like
Yeah.
the St. Clown's Day festival. A couple years ago, there wasn't one this year, I don't think. But a couple years ago, when there was a digital media summit for the WGA, and if there was, I guess I just didn't know about it or was invited, but I don't think there was. I was staying in Tribeca during the Feast of San Gennaro,
Hell yeah.
which was so overwhelming with the amount of like food and stuff that I almost couldn't figure out what to eat. Anyway, long story short, it looks like the Feast of St. Clownsville. And Al wanders in all the way through. You got 60 Cent himself, Rex, kind of carnival barking. He's saying, "Look alive, brothers and sisters. We got a guest in our midst. And who should be around but all of the people who he just captured, all clownified now. And they're all going, one of us, which is, of course, a
Freaks.
reference to Todd Browning's Freaks, later referenced by the Ramones, the greatest rock and roll band of all time.
It's true.
They're all going, one of us, pounding the table. Spawn is kind of making his way through. He's just pushing them aside. He says, "Where is Clown?" Now, here's where I'm really disappointed by the format of the omnibus. Now, I'm not criticizing the omnibus for this. There's just nothing to be done about it. It is one of the costs of having access to so many issues in such a readable and accessible format. I'm 100% throw my support behind the Spawn compendiums. However, here's the first of two more double page spreads in these issues. In this issue, I think this one has Violator all spread out in the middle with Spawn looking small, kind of like having his cape all grabbed, like all bunched up in front
The
of
thing
him.
is, I don't think that I thought this too. I thought that Spawn was being grabbed. No, he's just standing there.
No, you're right.
It's
It's
just
just
rendered
his
really
cape is
weird.
kind of weaving in and out of Violator's fingers.
Yeah, but as you said, like because of the double page spread layout, Violator's head is right in the center.
It
So
looks like a vagina.
in the compendium, it looks like not. I mean, yes, but it also like doesn't. It doesn't have the
It's
impact that
impossible to really read. Now, there's a little bit of art theory here, which is generally, and this is not always true, you can find plenty of examples that will prove me wrong, but generally, you don't always want to put the center of attention in the middle, direct middle of the double page spread for this exact reason, because you know that's where the fold is going to be. And you
right.
know that that's most likely where it's going to misalign. So you want to have it be like kind of off center or sort of spread across like multiple focal points and even in like a single like large image. This one, it's a fucking sick drawing and I bet it looks fucking great when you can see it as a flat like single plane image. Folded in half in this, it looks kind of, it's really hard to read, which is again unfortunate because like it
It is
seems
really
like it looks
Violator
great.
back in all his glory, which is really cool.
Yeah,
His like dripping green mouth and
yeah,
stuff, and
his
his
weird
big
horns
claws
and
and
his
stuff. Yeah,
skinny arms.
it
So
fucking
now he
rules.
does grab Spawn. That's the other thing that like kind of confused me a little bit about the previous panel.
Well, he doesn't even grab him. He just
No, but he sticks his finger through his forehead like a
like
red hot
new thing.
finger.
I guess he can do.
I like that. I think it looks great.
No, it looks cool.
He says, "I sure missed the hell out of you." He says, "Did you miss me? Because I sure missed the hell out of you." These two pages look pretty good, where he's blasting Spawn, Spawn's flying backwards. Again, really good work on the colors here. Kind of with that green, hazy background, the sort of orange, yellow, gold energy.
Yeah,
Blasting Spawn coming out of it. I like that it's drawing that parallel of like Spawn's green radiating energy and
we
Clown
we
slash
kind of haven't talked
Violator with
about the
this.
colors a lot because they're just kind of good. Like
They've
they're
been really good.
yeah, they've just been solid the whole way through.
This issue in particular, that's the thing. The double page spread that we just saw of Violator, the colors are fucking sick. Like the colors, the inking, everything looks great. It's just hard to read because of the format. So, and then the next page where we see like this weird energized silhouette of Violator just all splayed out, looking very alien. The loose kind of almost abstract trend of anatomy that Medina has really works for Violator. Just makes him look so much more creepy and demonic and like non-Euclidean in
He's
a
such a
way.
mess of limbs
Limbs and horns and jaw and like yeah. And
And
he's
I love,
grabbing Spawn and he's
and we'll
just,
get into it more in the next issue, but I love also how that extends to the more human form of Violator, of
yeah.
Clown, essentially. But
Mhm.
um, yeah,
So yeah, he grabs Spawn and they're all still chanting one of us, one of us. And as they're chanting that, somewhere else, Nyx is walking through the park talking to herself. She says, Thea, I'm sorry, I didn't know. How could I know? I know it's my fault. I was there to open that door for you, to let inside whatever demons haunted you. But I'm going to help you. I promise. One way or another, I'm going to help you, whatever the cost. And as we turn the page, we see her sitting on a bench, and who should approach from the shadows but Mammon? And he says, I knew you had come to your senses. And she says, what are you offering? Now, for those who don't remember, the encounter she had with Mammon at the end of the last issue was basically him making her an offer, implying that she could get Thea's soul back
right.
if she did something for him, probably resulting in her losing her own soul. And we know that Nyx has her own journey in hell much later down the road in the series, so we'll see what happens. Now, that is the end of Spawn number 134. So as we get into the next issue, Pierce, you know what to do. Hit me with the credits.
Well, it's the same exact credit, so I'm not going to read them all again. But this one is dedicated to the loving memory of Carrie Nodell. You aware of Carrie Nodell?
Related to Martin Odell.
Yes, is Martin Odell's spouse.
That's what I thought. Martin Odell, for those who don't know, was a Golden Age comic creator who created the original Green Lantern, Alan Scott. Also an advertising artist who created the Pillsbury Doughboy. When I was about 17 or 18, I guess.
This is why you all listen to this show, y'all.
Yep. Well, okay, so this is funny. When I was like 12 or 13, I was obsessed. Not obsessed, but I loved the Pillsbury Doughboy. And for some reason, the Pillsbury Doughboy was all over like clothes. Like, you know how the graphic tees and stuff go through phases?
Yeah.
Like there was like the era of like the Tasmanian Devil. Well, there was also an era of like Pillsbury Doughboy. And I had a bunch of Pillsbury Doughboy shirts. My favorite shirt was just a Pillsbury Doughboy. I don't know why. Anyway, I also love Alan Scott, the Green Lantern. I love all comics, of course. And I loved the Justice Society in particular, still do. And so Martin Odell, who at the time was living somewhere around Atlanta or in the Southeast, did a signing at one of our local comic shops. And I went and I got I had an Alan Scott t-shirt that I got signed by him. Pretty awesome.
That's awesome.
My mom accidentally washed it years later.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, he and his wife were together from they met in October of 1941 and were married less than 2 months later. Carrie always said, I was in the wedding shop picking out my dress when I heard Pearl Harbor had been attacked. And yeah, she was just by his side through his whole career, essentially.
Yeah. Well, that's the power of love, baby. And for all we know, he made a deal. No, I'm not gonna.
Ultimate wife guy Martin Odell,
Yeah.
also a hellspawn.
Apparently, though.
I mean, true. So we open with what we did at the beginning of the episode, with Clown now back kind of in a clownified Jason Wynn body.
Yeah, it's like a hybrid. It's like Jason Wynn. He's basically doing a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Where he's turning into clown slowly. Like his hair's getting weirder. He's getting fatter. Maybe they were just like, let's just do the Santa Claus.
Right.
But I love this page where he's like doing the carnival barker thing, and his arm is all like weirdly skewed out. His gut is all like hanging over his pants now, and I love the dead fly dropping in the front.
Yeah, me too. This leads to another, unfortunately, center aligned double page spread with Hellspawnium patheticus, mopey supernatural, only known specimen, bastard in captivity.
Mopey supernatural bastard, only known specimen in captivity. And again, Spawn just splayed out right in the middle, impossible to see what his face actually looks
Yeah,
like.
he's
Which
got the
sucks
sad
because it's
eyes.
crucial to the plot. He has like where Violator punched through his forehead, he's got like a crown of barbed wire now around his head.
Yeah, crown of thorns. And people are kind of gathering around as Clown is just kind of taunting him the entire
Yeah, they're
time.
all gawking at him like, is it alive?
Yeah. And the
Oh,
reason that
thing.
he's able to capture Spawn here is because he's moved him into one of the dead zones. So the cape is not kind of doing anything. The cape is actually what he's written all of these words on and is hanging behind him. He's got him chained up. He's got like a giant like chain around his neck and like sort of like a neck brace thing.
Again, I bet it looks fucking great if you're looking at it from a good perspective.
Yeah. And we cut over to Nix, who is at the Fellowship Rescue Mission in Newark, New Jersey. And she goes in and
Hell
she's
itself.
She's wearing a crazy outfit.
She is wearing, okay, you've seen Dumb and Dumber, right? You know when hopefully listeners have seen it, when Jim Carrey is like driving the like Lamborghini over to Mary Swanson's house,
Yeah.
to like ambush her after seeing Harry go on a date with her. This movie's 30 years old. More. 94, I think.
94.
Carrey's
Yeah.
breakout
The year of Jim Carrey.
The Mask, Ace Ventura. Anyway, Dumb and Dumber, one of my all-time favorite movies. He's getting out of the car, and he's wearing exactly this, like the tight ski pants with the like fringe jacket. Like it's crazy how much it looks like it.
It really does, actually. I didn't even think of that. Now that you're saying it, I'm like, oh, it's kind of close. Yeah.
All the hotel scenes in that filmed in the Stanley Hotel, which was the inspiration for The Shining.
Nice.
I stayed in the Stanley Hotel a couple times because the band Murder by Death, who just retired from touring, for years have done annual shows at the Stanley Hotel. And the first year they did it, which was incredible, every year they do it, they take a picture like the end of The Shining, you know?
Nice.
If you find the one from the first year, which is maybe 2015 or I think 2015, 2014 maybe, doesn't matter. If you find the first one, me and my ex-wife are like right in the front.
Nice.
Incredible shows.
Great band.
Yeah.
So Nix is in New Jersey, and she is looking for Lillian Redgrave, which is obviously her friend from the last issue.
Lily.
And right, Lily. And so she walks into her office, and Lily's like, "Oh my God, like Carrie, is that you?" And
we learned that Nix's real name is Carrie Ann.
Yeah, we learned that a couple issues ago. And she's like, "Listen, do you remember Thea?" And she's like, "Yes, I do. I pray about her. You know, I pray for her soul." But Nix is like, "Listen, she's in hell, but I think that there's a way for us to save her. And, you know, we just kind of have to re-engage with that stuff we used to do when we were younger." And Lily
doesn't quite reveal that yet. That's a couple pages down the road. Here she says, "I have something to tell you. Do you remember the things that we used to do?" She says, "I don't like to think about that part of my life."
Oh, I did skip ahead a little bit.
Yep. In between that, we cut to Spawn chained up in the alley, and Clown is taunting him, saying, "Such a fearsome creature to be brought so low, a walking tragedy of Homeric proportions, delivered here solely for our own amusement. So tell me, my friends, what should we do with him? pound him into a soft paste, chop him into a million little pieces, bake him in a pie and send him home to his mother? Or should we just leave him dangling there to suffer? And they're all shouting, pie, 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 suffer, 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 which that is what the Republican Party is calling for. Look at this. This lineup of clowns looks like Congress.
As they're kind of getting closer and they're like, is he alive? Is he breathing? Spawn, because even though he doesn't have powers, he can still move.
And he still weighs when Spawn form 500 pounds
Yeah, exactly.
of necroplasm.
So,
he does the what is it? Murtaugh? Is it Murtaugh or Riggs?
which, I mean, is it who do
in Lethal Weapon? Is it Mel Gibson?
Mel Gibson is Riggs.
Riggs, okay. Mel Gibson is also a racist. Mel Gibson and an anti-Semite. Mel Gibson as Riggs, I think it's in the first one. Like the guy comes up to him and he's like hanging from the thing because they're torturing
Oh yeah,
him.
yeah.
Like, grabs him with his legs and like that's what Spawn does. The guy walks up and is like poking at him, and Spawn just wraps his spiky boots around the guy's head, and he's like, "Unchain me or I snap his neck." And Clown's like, do you think that he says, are you under the impression you hold something I value? And Spawn just pops off his head, just gives him.
I was under the impression that it weirdly was
it's hard to say.
Storytelling's unclear. I was under the impression
just a panel that says slash with a huge wave of gore.
I was under the impression it was Clown doing it. Like that was
that
it was Clown kind of like being like, I don't care about this, so
shoot
I'm just
the hostage speed style. Yeah, you're probably right, but it's not shown. Only the aftermath is shown, and all the clowns start clamoring for his head. We see the headless body all hunched over, and Clown is like, I thought you knew me better than that. Or maybe you have me confused with someone else. And he's basically taunting him like, I'm going to make you feel the most pain you've ever felt. He says, hope you take me at my word when I tell you we haven't even begun to scratch the surface yet.
I love that panel of Clown Jason Wynn. It's so weird.
He is slowly morphing into Clown, and it's fucking terrifying.
I like it because it feels so much like the demon version of him wearing a skin suit.
Yeah.
Like he's like weirdly proportioned and like bulbous in spots that you're like, ugh, it's
very body horror. Like,
it's cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. And Wynn jumps on Spawn, and we can't see what he was doing. He's just sort of like pummeling him, stabbing him, cutting him up. And he says, I want you to concentrate, focus on what you're feeling, every last detail. Hold in your mind, clear as crystal, because before long, you're going to look back at this very moment as the happiest of your life. It's all downhill from here, I'm afraid. And this is very much like almost Clown talking in Jason Wynn's kind of affect.
Yeah.
Like very arch, whereas Clown is often like, oh, I fucking farted on a bug. It's
been a while since Clown's been farting.
Yeah, we kind of moved on from that. He's a lot creepier now.
Yeah.
And again, I love that the Jason Wynn version of his nose is like all creepy and pointed instead of that weird bulbous version Medina draws. He likes to draw Clown on profile and give him just the most creepy looking nose. The next page of him, who he's like taunting Spawn, he's saying, we have a bad puppy who's gone astray. What do we do to bad little doggies? This panel, he is just downright monstrous. His mouth is like hanging open halfway down his jaw or down his
body
chest.
Is just like he's becoming like a worm. Like,
yeah, he's looking very like worm. It's getting creepy and it's cool. This is again where Medina's like penchant for just really twisting and pushing the concepts and boundaries of anatomy really works well.
I thought this page was a little funny though, because like he's like, what do we do? And somebody says, teach him. And then the first thing that guy does is throw a clock.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. And now this leads to all of the clown people throwing garbage and detritus,
refuse and all kinds of stuff
at Spawn. But like,
there's an 8-ball in there, the billiard ball.
But yeah, there's right. Yeah, it's important to be specific about it being an 8-ball versus a billiards ball. Yeah, it's fun. It's like a fun little moment. This panel of Spawn getting kind of pelted, I had no idea what I was looking at for a second.
It took me a minute to realize that we're
That he's
looking at Spawn's juicy cheeks
yeah,
and that his head is like down by his thigh.
right. I was just like, I don't know what this is for a while, but it's fine. We got there.
Once you see it, it's not that hard to see, but it
Yeah.
does take some looking at. The next panel or next page, especially after he's just been pummeled, Clown snaps and everybody stops, just like with the snap of his finger.
I really
And
like that the snap is in the art,
yeah,
got inked, and Orzakowski was like, no, no. I'm
yeah,
putting a little extra on there.
snap, yeah. And Spawn is just laying in a heap. Another one where the anatomy is like hard to parse, but I think in this case, very personal, very purposefully, because he's basically just been like
His
torn
head's in
asunder.
the front, right? Because the chain would be around his neck.
Yeah. His head is laying down in the front. His shoulder is like up in the air, wrapped around the chain. His legs are on the ground. He's just broken.
Yeah.
And Clown says, "Let him be for now. It's important he's given time to absorb his lessons. Now gather up our fallen comrade over there and come with me." And they pick up the head and the body of the clown that he beheaded. And he says, "Hurry along. It's almost dinner time."
Love
And
this
that
panel.
particular panel, yeah, his hair is looking just like ragged shreds.
And
He's
his
got
like
the like
ogre teeth.
fangs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Back with Nyx, now is when she's explaining to Thea. Thea's like, "You better leave. I'll have no part of this wickedness." And Nyx is like, or sorry, Lily is like, "You better leave. I'll have no part of this wickedness." And Nyx is like, "You were there. This stuff is real. It won't be easy, but I think we can help her." And
Lily kind of kicks her out. She's like, listen, I don't want
she's
anything
like,
to do with this. Judgment is not our right.
yeah, she says, "If Thea's in hell, there's a reason."
Yeah.
I do not like this drawing of Nyx like
Mm.
straight on with her nose all turned up. It just
Her
it's
hair is like too big.
looks
There's like
very
a
Mira
lot.
Sorvino wearing like an Elvira wig.
Yeah, there's a lot going on
Not
here.
great.
I think that what we're learning is that Medina doesn't really excel at these moments. That he's good when,
I
it's.
think he's kind of rushing on some of these faces. Like I think he's kind of pushing through some of these issues a little bit.
I also wonder if just the inkers are kind of like, there's not a lot we can do here. And, or that we're feeling, because remember, Crime Lab Studios is one of the credits, which means there's a bunch of inkers that are doing some work here that we're not getting their
Right.
names. And I
Right.
wonder if the stuff that we're not loving, because we've been pretty hot. I would say that we've been more hot and cold on Medina than pretty much any other artist. And I'm
There's been it's been more issues of consistency.
and I'm including like the brief Dwayne Turner kind of like, oh, you got this guy for a second, or Tony Daniel for a couple issues or whatever.
I think when he's good, he's way better than either of them. But
Yeah,
when
I
he's
agree.
inconsistent, it's kind of at the level of like, I don't know. So as Lily kicks Nyx out of her office, we cut back to Spawn, who's just laying in a heap of his cape and
And
like
blood
blood.
and
And I love the blood seeping down into the next panel as he's like dreaming of coming home to his parents' house as a soldier. And he comes home and he's calling to them, but there's no one there. But who is? Who else but Mammon? Just as
yeah.
he paid a visit to Nyx a couple issues ago, now he's paying a visit to Al in his sort of comatose dreams. And Al's telling him, "Get the hell out of here. Where's my father? Where's my mother?" And uh Mammon's like, "What really happened in this house, I wonder, that made you what you are? It must have been quite awful. The kind of thing that would turn anyone into a monster." And um Mammon kind of throws the book of like the photo album into the fire, and he starts taunting Al. "Your parents must be so disappointed in you." Meanwhile, back in the real world, Clown throws the headless body of his now dead minion onto the table, and the rest of them start crowding in and devouring him. "I want the spleen. I want my arm, or that's my arm. And the guy's like, I saw it first. And he says, no, I mean, that's my arm. And then
It's kind
it
of funny.
zooms out, and there's just like a fountain of blood as they're yelling food fight and like just tearing into this headless corpse. We see that his head is also on the table with an apple in his mouth. And this drawing of like the really demented old lady going, I want the spleen. Meanwhile, there's an old guy saying, pancreas. And Clown / Wynn, who has Jason Wynn's facial hair, which is like the weirdest part. He's
Yeah.
got the like Caesar
But
Ramiro
even
like
that is
mustache
like
and
it's
clown makeup.
so like extended and weird. Like even that has sort
Yeah.
of
Oh yeah.
morphed. It's not
He
like
looks like
the clean goatee that was going on with Jason Wynn. It is the opposite of Jason Wynn in the sense that it is like not manicured. It is not, but it is not the same craziness as when he was in solitary for years or whatever, right? It is this like weird
it's like a mad scientist look.
morph between them both that is.
Well, and to call back to last episode, as our listeners will no doubt remember, and just to point out, he looks a lot like Sully, as in Sully from Monsters Inc.
Oh,
here.
not you didn't mean Sully Sullenberger.
The hero of Avatar. No.
No. That's
A
Jake.
different
That's
Sully.
Jake Sully. That's different. Sully
That's the guy who
Sullenberger
landed the plane.
is the guy that landed the plane.
That's Jake Sully,
No, that's Sully Sullenberger.
the hero of Avatar.
No, that. Fuck you.
How does it feel? No, he looks like
How does
Sully
it feel?
He looks like Sully
Sorry, that was
Sullenberger
Bruce
from
Springsteen.
Monsters Inc.
He does. It's great. I like kind of like buff clown
He's like
Jason Wynn.
he's got like a Liver King body where like he's just fat, but he's got like a 6-pack on top of it because he's on so much gear that his body doesn't know what to actually do. And as Clown is saying, it's true what they say. It really is the simple pleasures that make life worthwhile. And he looks down at the tortured face of Spawn, who is, or he, sorry, let me take that again because, yeah. It's true what they say, Clown says. It really is the simple pleasures that make life worthwhile. And as he's admiringly watching his followers devour their fallen comrade, Spawn, back in the other part of the alley, is inching himself forward, finally pulling himself off the ground. And we get this great close up of his eyes with the barbed wire crown and like the blood. Now it's interesting he's got blood and not necroplasm here. It's not
Yeah,
green.
I was
But
wondering
I think
about
that's part
that.
of the hybrid human thing.
I was wondering about that as well. I think part of it is he would be so green that from a coloring standpoint, like I'm sure there was a discussion that was like, hey Brian, like it's supposed to be green. And he was like, too much green.
But I also think we've seen him bleed green and red since he's been a human.
He's also in the dead zone. So I
Yeah,
wonder
that's true.
if that's also part, like if we want to like hand wave
That's
it
true.
away.
He might be like technically kind of Al under there. It's sort of that weird hybrid thing. So yeah, I think that's right. But that brings us to the end of the issue.
Yeah, I mean, we can get right into final thoughts. So far, I don't love this arc, but I think also we run into this sometimes with 5-issue arcs where the rising action is kind of like so much table setting,
right,
that it feels hard to be excited about it.
Yeah.
And I do think some of the artistic choices take away from some of the impact I think that we're supposed to glean from some of these moments. And as we've discussed, I think some of the artistic inconsistencies are just more glaring because this isn't a big knockdown, drag out fight where we're going to allow for a lot of the things that Medina really excels at, which is the kind of crazy anatomy, kind of crazy layouting, kind of oh, I know this looks insane, but I understand what it is, even though it looks weird. In this, he gets like a lot of scenes where it's just like people talking, and he
Yeah.
still kind of imbues it with like, well, what if they were twisted in this way? And it works really well for Clown, doesn't necessarily work in some of the smaller moments. Him not being able to draw children is pretty par for the course for all comic book artists.
Yeah.
uh,
Well, and I think for me, what it really comes down to is the places where it's inconsistent, rather than being inconsistent with like the level of detail or something, it's becoming inconsistent in the storytelling, and that's a little bit tougher to get through.
yeah,
When there's like, okay, Tony Daniel, his run on this wasn't the flashiest,
no,
especially alongside Greg Capullo. It was kind of simplified. It was more in his like, early career, um relatively. Here, but he was erring on the side of storytelling, you know what I'm saying?
sure.
If he was making a decision, it was to go for the storytelling over like maybe being a little more flashy. Here with Medina, it feels a little bit like the opposite at times, where he's going for being a little more flashy rather than readable, and it's taking away from what is a perfectly serviceable wind up for an arc.
Yeah, it's it's exactly what you said. It's perfectly serviceable. It just swings at points where I'm like, okay, uh, you made this confusing, and I know that I need to know some of this stuff, and I sort of should be paying attention. I don't think that the omnibus format really or compendium format really helps because
Right.
so many of those more impactful artistic moments are center focused, and
Right.
they just get eaten by the middle of the page. Uh, Looks great on digital, I'll say that.
Yeah.
The art's good. Like overall,
No,
I
it's
think
good.
Medina's really good. They're just, we have nits to pick, and also we have to find something to talk about in our Spawn podcast. And so
Well, and also I think
sometimes
it's valid to talk about choices made that affect the readability. So anyway, yeah, that's where I land on it. Pretty
colors are
good,
overall
but
solid. I'd say
colors are looking great.
lettering is generally solid. I think it's a little bit at the mercy of the art, as we've kind of
Right.
discussed. Is that like
Well, and also there's some spots where there's so much script that like we don't necessarily need a dozen captions.
it does feel like we're gonna get to the end of this arc and be like, do we need 5 issues? Which, being fairly decompressed, is kind of a Spawn thing. It takes a long time for a lot of shit to happen. Uh, So, that's a little bit of the flavor that you're getting. You can't
Yeah.
complain that something tastes like chocolate if that's what you ordered. And,
Yeah, I mean, true.
I don't want to kind of put that at the feet of the book itself. So,
Yeah,
uh,
not on that level.
but, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Next episode, we'll cover 3 issues. So, it might be a little bit of a longer journey, but hopefully it'll pay off some of what we've seen so far. I don't have any back matter. However, we have some personal back matter. We got a comment on a not a recent episode, an old episode, episode
But it was a
17.
recent comment.
It was a recent comment, but an old episode 17, Father and the Clan, Spawn number 29 and 30. You'll remember that, listeners, as the Spawn Across America arc, where he's like getting back to New York. And we got a comment from Ross Griswold, who said, I recently found your podcast and I'm absolutely loving most of it. Your opinions and thoughts are so interesting, although by this point in the series, I'm painfully tired of the repeated Coco Swiss Echo joke. 2 things have bugged me, though. In your review of issue 5, you missed a key detail and made it sound like a retcon that Billy Kincaid's body was left in Sam and Twitch's office. It is not a retcon. Issue 5 clearly describes in a panel that Sam and Twitch return to the police station and find the body in their office. Second, and more topical to this particular episode, the message was not to say that turning the racist judge black was a punishment. No, the punishment was to make the racist judge suffer through the kind of pain that he puts others through. He was turned black and left at the mercy of his friends, who did not recognize him because they were too cruel and stupid to look past his skin color. That was the lesson. Spawn number 29 and 30 are 2 of my favorite comic books ever. I was raised in a home life not dissimilar to the child abuse shown in issue 29, and the tragedy of that story has always struck me as more resonant than any positive resolution would have. Neither issue 29 nor 30 is a superhero story. They are tragedies. As a whole, Spawn is a tragedy. It's a series that shows us again and again that the power fantasy of superheroes would never actually fix anything. No, Spawn's power only makes things worse.
So first off, I just want to say that was Ross was the name
Yes,
of the
Ross
person. Well, first
Griswold.
off, Ross Griswold, thank you so much for writing in. It's a very thoughtful comment and response. I want to say right off the bat that I appreciate you trusting us and our audience to discuss issues of abuse. And I also grew up in an environment where that was not an unfamiliar thing, and so I was also very sensitive to that story. And I think that to address that point first, and Pierce, obviously you have plenty to say about this. I know you provided a comment, and this is further commentary, so that they don't have to wait a million years to hear us respond to this. But to that point first, I think you're exactly right, Ross, that Spawn is a tragedy about someone whose understanding of power is limited by his own ability to wield it, and his conception of right and wrong and black and white is often flawed based on his judgment. And as you will hopefully hear as you continue listening, that is a point that will become more and more evident as we go on. And just on my personal side, to finish what I'm saying, and Pierce, of course, again, I'm not going to just talk through all this. The other thing I want to say is you're 100% right, Ross, also about what the lesson that's intended to be taught in that issue of Spawn is, which is the judge is meant to be learning what it's like to suffer through prejudice. And 100% that is the intent. I absolutely agree. And it's not impossible that we did or didn't quite elucidate it in those terms, but our interpretation of what is in there, that for those who don't remember, a racist judge who's part of the Ku Klux Klan is turned into a black man by Spawn, so that when his KKK friends find him, they will think he is just a black man and they murder him. And obviously the intended point is not that being black is a punishment. The intended point is suffering is universal, even if you can't see that from the perspective that you're in. Even if you are, the cause of it. Yes. The message, unfortunately, though, is also I turned you black as a punishment. That is functionally what happens. And for me, at least, that story still reads as a little uncomfortable for that reason. There are issues ahead. I don't know if Ross, our listener, has read these issues and presumably hasn't listened to these episodes just yet. But there are issues ahead that will readdress these topics and revisit them in similar ways that I think maybe are a little more mature. And I think that that's really what's happening. As for the issue 5 thing, I think that was my mistake. I think I just remembered wrong, and I believe you correct. I may have said retcon, but I was just wrong, and I think you may have corrected me and reminded me that we
Yeah.
were in
Yeah.
Sam and
I
Twitch's
think
office.
there's a little funny sort of
If not, it's
accounting
just a mistake.
in issue 5, the issue 5 episode, because we did dedicate a whole episode to that one,
Yeah.
as a pretty major turning point for what Spawn is. And I do think that it's kind of fun to talk about these 3 issues again, because I do think that they are indicative of what Spawn is and what it wants to be, or at least what it wanted to be in its kind of early days. The issue 5 thing, like I said, I think kind of just a mistake on our part. I think I call you out on it. I might have cut that out if it sounded weird. That was also before I learned how to edit episodes better. So if my response sounded bad, like literally the audio quality was bad, I might have cut it. Which
Yeah.
whatever.
Well,
But
and also we're not immune to mistakes at all. We're
no,
not.
that too. That too. Sometimes we're not reading these issues like right
Sometimes
before
in the episode, we'll be like, "Oh,
we
wait,
skip
nope,
ahead or
that was
whatever.
just read. We read that panel weird
Yeah.
because of the
Uh,
storytelling or something."
as for the rest of it, kind of what I had said in my comment back to Ross was totally understand the lesson of issue 30, but maybe we didn't fully explain it. As for 29, I'm so sorry to hear that you grew up in a similar situation.
You're completely right that these issues and Spawn as a whole are tragedies. I think our feeling is that Spawn, and really by extension Todd, at this point as the main author of Spawn, um, are generally ill-equipped to tackle these topics because they typically require a bit of nuance. That's not something the book to this point has really shown it excels at. Thankfully, we have a lot more opportunity to revisit these types of stories in future episodes. So hopefully, you'll get to listen as our opinion evolves. And what I mean by that is mostly like superhero comics, because they need something to punch typically, uh,
Yeah.
are not good at handling problems that are not solved with punching.
I think we
And
bring that up even in that episode,
yeah,
and like that becomes part of the moral as Spawn goes on, especially.
yeah, and I think it's this is a one of the great things about Spawn is that it's a constantly evolving story. That it is a story that when people ask where to start with Spawn, you tell them issue one, because issue one Al, issue one Spawn, even issue one Todd is so much different than we're reading it now, issue 130, right?
Yeah.
The circumstances of the character have changed, the outlook of the character has changed, the reality of the character has changed. We get to see later on when he meets Fred, who is looking for help, and he really shuns him, and that leads to Fred's death, unfortunately. And that really weighs on Spawn in a different way, but it shows a little bit. I do think that it shows a little bit of maturity of storytelling, as you were saying, George. Like over time, these things evolve, and we get to see a little less like after school special. I'm not saying that like, listen, Ross, if you like these issues a lot, by all means, please like them. I like them. I want to be clear here. I think that what we're trying to do with the show sometimes is be critics still and think about the ways that some of these things could be handled a little bit better.
Well, and sometimes it's just a personal matter of how they strike you.
True.
That the issue of Spawn Across America, where Spawn again turns the racist judge into a black man. I understand the parable. It just made me uncomfortable on a functional level. And that's something that I just reacted to personally. I obviously that is not a universal reaction, and I don't have like a moral judgment for someone who doesn't have the same feeling I do. But when we talk about like what the intent of the criticism is, it's not to say like, oh, I don't like this, or to encourage people not to like what they like. I think that is a big misconception about the concept of criticism and critics in general, is that critics are trying to tell you what to like and what you should think is good, or what is objectively good and therefore measurable and therefore has some kind of justifiable component to liking or not liking it. But that's not what criticism is. Criticism is analysis. Criticism is a conversation.
Yeah.
Literally, for us, it's a conversation, but it's a conversation with the art and with the audience, and it's asking and pointing out things that other people might miss, or people who don't have our, let's say, expertise or knowledge or experience or just breadth of relationship with this type of text. We're here to point those things out, to talk about them, and hopefully, as we have with Ross here, who I really sincerely appreciate such a thoughtful comment, bring them into the conversation as well. Have your own reactions, have your own thoughts, have your reactions to our reactions. Think we're right, think we're wrong, all valid,
Yeah.
unless we are absolutely right, which we always are.
And
No,
and
but
also to your point, like I'm fine being wrong.
I'm fine being
So,
wrong. I
please,
feel
like,
like when we are functionally wrong, we try to admit it, because
yeah,
that's just an easy value to uphold.
yeah,
Just,
totally.
you know. So anyway, yeah, really good feedback from old Ross there, and hopefully we'll hear more from him as he continues to listen to the back catalog of our shows, which is available pretty much anywhere you want to listen.
Yeah. Before we wrap up entirely, you have any recommendations for listeners this week?
Good question. Let's see. I have a recommendation. I'm going to recommend you listen to the album Thunder and Lightning by Thin Lizzy. It's maybe their last studio album, and it just frickin' rocks. There is some like moody ballads. There are some real shredders. Thin Lizzy, one of the best rock and roll bands ever to grace the earth. And yeah, great underrated album. Also, if you want to listen to another Thin Lizzy album, I think it's Johnny the Fox.
Cool.
Yeah,
what's
Johnny
funny
the
is
Fox. It's
that
a concept album about
a fox, obviously.
a heist.
Like a Fantastic Mr. Fox sort of situation.
Sure.
Cool. I will recommend the T-shirt that I talked about at the top. It's called Bad Boy by Chloe Brailsford. It is an exclusive to a website that you can find by going to ithaspockets.gay. Bad Boy is an original work by Chloe Brailsford, commissioned for the post normcore collection by their operations lead, Jake. All shirts in this collection benefit Jake's gender affirming care.
Amazing.
If you don't know Chloe Brailsford is a badass bisexual trans woman comic artist residing in Brooklyn with her best friend and their beautiful cat, Michael Caine. I'm reading off of the explanation here. It says, she is somehow the coolest bitch you'll ever meet and also the most neurotic mess you couldn't even begin to imagine. When she's not doing work for the likes of DC, Image, Boom, and other amazing comics publishers, which is regrettably a little more often than she'd prefer, she loves to work on drawing sexy babes in the sickest leather fits you've ever seen. You can follow her on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, at either Chloe_in_pink or Chloe.in.pink or comics by Chloe.bluesky.social. So
I'm looking at the website now, and there's some cool shit on here.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff. So support, people's gender affirming care, and support cool artists and wear cool art. I mean, that's what it's all about.
Yep.
So
buy from people who make art. You don't have to buy from fucking Target.
Yeah, fuck that shit.
Canonically bisexual. I like that one.
Anyway, if you like the show, please rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to us. If you've got opinions, let us know. You can email us at sponographypod@gmail.com. You can also just leave comments or reviews. We'll always read them on the air. But yeah, that pretty much does it. George, for Todd so loved the world,
he gave his only begotten spawn.
See you later, Hellspawn. Spawnography is recorded in Athens, Georgia, and Queens, New York. It's produced by me, Pierce Lyden. Our theme music and logo were composed by George Marston. Episodes come out every Monday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like the show, please rate, review, subscribe. You can find us on social media at Spawnography or at SpawnographyPod. If you'd like to reach out to us directly, you can do so at spawnographypod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, see you later, Hellspawn.